Good evening,
Good
everybody.
afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, everyone. I'm Huma Sufyan. I'm a career Naksha and counselor of India community manager. A warm welcome to Subin Mathew, sir. Sir is going to speak about the healthy psychosocial boundaries. A little information about our sir is like Subin John Mathew is a renowned clergy and motivational speaker, a counseling psychologist and psychotherapist. Expertise in family therapy, individual counseling, premarital counseling, depression and anxiety disorder too. Completed MBA and worked in MNC as HR. Past theological studies had served among the Adivasis and Dalit communities. During COVID-19, started practicing counseling. A registered counselor and life member of Council of India. A warm welcome, sir. And it is very nice topic that you are going to share with us, sir. Thank you for your valuable time also, sir. Now the whole show is yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Uma, and thank you to the team who is working behind this live screen and the projection of the need of the study that is required in the counseling field in India. I believe that in most of the countries, counseling is something which everyone prefers to get access to, and sadly, we in India are having a tough time when we deal with the counseling field or with a client um, oftenly. What happens is most of them think that those who attend a counseling session are psychologically ill or are psychotic, or they try to picturize the individual as if there is some big problem with this person. And we as individuals, when we try to lead counseling and when we try to explain what counseling is all about, in simple words, we are doing a talk therapy. And the talk therapy is involved with a couple of techniques, a couple of logical information that we gather through our theoretical studies, and then we implement it as per the need of the individual. To begin with, I will start with the boundaries, what we experience in our lives. We as individuals, we have family as our boundary. Today I happen to interact with a family, and the problem is with the younger child. And when I sit uh, ask them to take the chair and sit in front of me, what I identified is the husband and wife, they sat together. The firstborn sat next to his father, and the younger one sat at the end. And I was surprised, and I was analyzing, why did the younger one choose the corner? He himself distanced from the family. We say that family is something which we are close to, but at the same time, we have our own boundaries within our families. It is surprisingly sad, and at the same time, to know that many of our boundaries are very fragile. And it's so fragile that we cannot let anyone step into it. We cannot let anyone go out of it either. See, many of the couples, when they have issues, especially when we live in a country where live-in relationships are allowed or permitted by the constitution of our country, what happens? The boundaries within are becoming so fragile, and they become so uh, limited that they cannot let the other person interfere or talk or interact with a neighbor as well. What happens is, we had a large joint family. Now we have come to a nuclear family, which is in a way good. There is a lots of positives of the nuclear family, but now it has even more shrinked to single parenting. So now the things are not like before. Things are changing, and in the changing phase, every individual is unique. If we ask our mothers, how was the pregnancy, how was the delivery, how did you give birth to me, they have a story to say. But unfortunately or unknowingly, they forget it off, they just let it go, and we never even bothered to know how the story was. In transaction analysis, we say life is a script. So we have a script from our birth to our death or funeral, however we relate to. So in this script, there are some things that we make a border. So today I'm talking about the boundaries that we have. I want each of you to take a moment and close your eyes and think or relate to who are the boundaries that we are with, or whom are we relating with. We might be relating to our family, our workplace, our society. So there is a larger crowd in front of us. Try to bring in the very close, very nearer person who is close to us. If you are able to identify that person, if you are able to relate to that person, I would appreciate that many of us will have at least more than one. We'll have couple of people who are very close to us, whom we can relate closely, whom we can connect very closely, very easily. And every individual will have a person who is very close to them. If you have freezed to some people, I appreciate you. Park them aside, keep them aside. Now think of the people whom you relate with in a so called relationship, whom we are not too connected, but we might approach when there is a need. Like, for example, if you have to approach your HR manager, you don't approach every day, but you will surely have a relationship with him and or her, and you will surely try to relate to the person as early as possible when there is a situation required. So that's how we connect to the middle boundary. When you are trying to connect to those people whom you are distanced, so called relationships, what happens is you will be surprised to know that at times they were very close to you, but over a period of time they distanced a bit. They are now in the so called relationship. They neither interact in your daily life or interfere, but they do relate to you when there is a need, when you are approaching them. Thirdly, if you have parked the middle lifestyle, middle relationships, also called middle boundaries, so relationships, then I want you to also go to the third level of boundary is the distanced boundary. So you have a relationship with them, but it is distanced, far off relationships, need not be blood relationship. If I remember my college days, I had a very good number of friends with me. They were my chunks, they were my best friends, best buddies. As we grew, as we got married, as we got separate to different work profiles, we split it for different countries. We still have that relationship, but we have distanced that boundary. The relationship is distanced. Though those days were when we used to meet every day. We used to have a cup of chai, samosa. I'm from Hyderabad, and Secunderabad there is a place called Blue Sea Hotel. So we used to go to have Blue Sea Hotel and have a cup of tea that we used to cut the tea one by two cup. So we used to have the garam samosa there. So this was the relationship which we had in our college days, and over a period of time, we see that the friendship has distanced. Now, as we have parked our boundaries, let me tell you what is the need of a boundary. My topic is all about healthy psychosocial lifestyle boundaries that we have, boundaries in our lifestyle. So, what is the need of a boundary? In simple terms, a psychological psychosocial boundary defines our mind and our sense of self. It defines me, who I am, what I am doing, or what I am in my life. And remember, it is of the unique and very separated from others. You cannot have the same boundary of that of your spouse. You cannot have the same boundary of that of your brother or sister or your friend. Your boundaries are unique. You have a different, separate lifestyle, and that is the boundary that you have created. Boundary is anything that marks limits, psychological limit. It defines the personal dignity. So there is a need of a boundary in most of the live-in relationships, or the young couples who get into affairs in the teens and 20s. They often say that we need not have any boundaries in our relationship. So what does that mean? The statement itself says that the boundary is fragile. The boundary is very uh, crucial, or it is going to affect their relationship in a very unique way. There is a movie which I remember Raj Kumar was the actor, and he once said he was a military officer in the movie, and he used to say to the opposite person, the dialogue is something like this: um, हमारा बाउंड्री वहां शुरू होता है जहां पर आपका बाउंड्री खत्म होता है. So my boundary begins, the boundary of the military begins when the boundary of the civilian ends. So there is nothing called a boundaryless relationship. It might be fragile, it might be invisible, but there is a boundary. And what is the benefits or the disadvantages or the advantages of the boundary? Or how do we relate boundary as? What is the effect of having a closed relationship boundary, a so-called relationship boundary, and a distanced relationship boundary? You know what happens when, if you are able to recollect the exercise that we have done, the exercise we try to separate some people who are very close. It could be your wife, your spouse, your child, your close friend, or your girlfriend, or your professional friend, or somebody whom you can open up and talk and relate to, and that person is very close to you. You know what happens in this boundary? There is a free flow of energy that you will experience. The moment you talk, you relate, it is a permeable relationship. There is a free flow of energy. You permit that relationship to be close as possible. So, in this relationship, you are experiencing a type of energy, and that energy is what is keeping on, allowing us to move on in our crisis, in our tough situations, in our daily life. When I relate to my daughter, in spite of all the situations that we experience, the moment I am with my daughter, you know what happens? There is a bond that is being built. And that gives a energy, a free flow of energy. There is no give and take. It's all giving, giving, giving. And we experience that overflowing of joy, love, energy within us. We never get tired. We never get bored of each other. Yes, am I able to connect to those people whom you have freezed in your close relationships? Know how important the boundary is for us. This boundary with a close relationship is going to make you stronger and energetic. So the energy flows even in the other boundaries also, but in the when you come to the so-called relationships, the middle relationships, you will see that there is a unbound flow of energy. It's semi-permeable energy, flow of energy that you see. So it is something which we have to relate that we know a shopkeeper. We go to that shop, we go and purchase the items from the shop, we pay for it, we come back. But the shopkeeper is a well known person to us, is a friend to us, we relate to him. So the relationship is semi permeable. There is a sort of excitement, there is a sort of communication that happens, a relationship is built or kept, and it is kept throughout the transactions that we make, and the person on the other side is also happy because his business is met by you and you have become his customer. You go to the hospital, get admitted, you want a good treatment, there is a semi permeable energy that moves. It can happen even with our parents, it can even happen with our siblings or in-laws or whomever you can place it. We keep distance from some people. It's a give and take relationship. We value it, we respect it. Now I'm moving to the third level of our boundary, distance relationships. It need not be distance with geographically, but it can be a distance that we have created over a period of time. Like I told in the beginning, my friends who studied with me in my graduation, my post graduation, are now at distant places geographically. At the same time, they have distanced even in our communications, but still there is a flow of energy then when we interact with each other. But at the same time, some people whom we meet every day also will have a distance relationships. There is no much of flow energy. There is no flow in the relationships. That is called bond energy, impermeable energy flow. So there in this lifestyle or in this boundary, there is no much of give and take. There is no much of free flow of energy or unbound flow of energy, but there is only bond energy. There is a agreement or there is a contract that is being set in between the relationships. That also can happen with our parents or our siblings or our in-laws in our communication due to some issues. Such relationships are being built. Now I want you to do another exercise. Which circle is bigger? Is the close relationships bigger circle? Is the middle relationships a bigger circle? Or is the distance relationship a bigger circle? Where do you place yourself in the middle, and how do you relate to these relationships in our life? Now, the part of counseling or the part of psychological studies comes into picture is here. We'll have to understand that every relationship that we have is every boundary that we have is our self created boundary. There is always a possibility for you to extend the boundaries. You can extend the boundaries for your close relationships so that many others will get in, so that you will have it more wider and stronger. You can extend your middle relationships, you can extend your distance relationship boundaries. So what happens is you will have an outreach to many people. You know, um, every 10 minutes, three people try to attempt suicide, and at least two become successful. And that is the situation we are going to face. I met a 8 years old student who is in fourth class, and he has already attempted to kill himself more than once. He took a rope, he started cutting his hands, and don't know what are the next things that he is going to do. He hurts himself. So we need to understand that relationships are very important in our life, in our lifestyle. We have to build a lifestyle. We'll have to have a healthy psychosocial relationship and boundaries in our lifestyle. Without having a strong boundary, it's very difficult for any person to survive. How is this possible? That is my concluding part. It is possible through transaction of strokes. In transaction analysis, we say strokes, motivational words that we exchange, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. We have to self motivate. We have to get motivation from the other. We need to get stroke. We need to give stroke to others. So when we are able to stroke the other person, when we are able to receive strokes, strokes is again another study all about. To keep it in short, I'll say that there are many people who receive strokes but they don't give strokes. There are some people who filter the strokes that they get. They will decide whether I should take the stroke or give, uh, or deny the stroke that I get. There are people who always give strokes, always willing to take strokes. So once we have a transaction of communication with each individual in our relationships, exchange strokes, and our boundaries will extend, become stronger, and we will identify how our relationship is, whether the distant relationship a person can be brought inside the close relationships. or you really feel that the person who is standing close to you is someone who is really too far of you. The other side is the time structuring in our communications. We need to set time, make time out, and fix how we going to relate to the relationships. If you are losing your energy, don't invest time in that relationship. To keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself energetic, to be a strong person, you need to invest your time at the place where you get more energy. In a graphical study, if I want to say, a person has 100 units of energy, you know, it is only the 50 units of energy that the person actually uses. The rest is drained away, taken away. And in a person who is neurotic or a psychotic, it's one more downer, lower. Hardly 10 or 20 units of energy is what the person is receiving in his own body or in his own mind, and rest 80 to 90 is being drained away in the relationships that he or she is into. Many family lives, many families have struggles because they drain their energies. If one person is willing to give the energy to the other and boost the other person, that energy is something which he is going to boost himself or herself as well. There is a wonderful terminology we use in the medical field. It's a transplantation. Transplant. So we transtract, we translate, we transfer a huge amount of energy, and we plant in the individual, and the individual will bear fruits out of it. I want you to do one more exercise as a concluding part. In the concluding part, think what is the energy that is being drained away in the relationships that we carry. Isn't it essential for us to strengthen our boundaries and make our boundaries clear so that the person to whom we relate with is able to give free flow of energy to us, even if it is unbound energy, even if it is the bond energy that we receive. Let it be so. But I want us to be very clear that we are not draining away our energy. We are not draining away our days. We are not draining away our life. Have a reality check of ourselves. We say that we cannot change the other, we can change ourselves. So have a reality check of ourselves and look at the direction where we travel to. Do we have a determination to live a healthy lifestyle? To live a lifestyle which is going to build a wonderful society with our presence. And if our determinations, our destination, our ideas are clear, we will be intent to fulfill our goals. The goal is to live life successfully, live life beautifully. It's not to become rich, but to live a life that is worth it, proving that life is a successful story. We'll have failures, we'll have falls, we'll have trials, we'll have tribulations, but at the same time, we are aware of what is it, our communication with the other person. If we are having a awareness, if we are having awareness within us that when I communicate to my partner, it is my responsibility that I value the person, that I respect the individual. That is called here and now situation. There are many people who try to relate how their parents related with each other. If the father was abusive father, the son also will abuse more like the father did to his mother, and the son will abuse his own wife. And since mother comes from a poor background or a family background, she accepted the struggles. But when the son marries a lady from young uh, generation, she will not live together. She will say, I don't want to live with you. You are an abusive person. I quit. She says, get lost. And the family life is broken. The relationships are broken. If that is how fragile our boundaries are, we need to strengthen it. And my session is all about that. Each of us have to value our relationships. We need to understand that every relationship is important. Every relationship is very valuable. And to keep our relationship stronger, we need to understand the boundaries that we have. And for that, our psychosocial boundaries that we have is the lifestyle that we are going to maintain. So we need to strengthen it, we need to make it better. I hope the session was communicating to each one of you. If there are any queries or discussions, then we can go ahead with the discussion. Over to Huma. Is there any questions or discussion? Then we can do. Yes, is there anything that we have to discuss? If not, I will just conclude saying that um, we need to value our relationships in a society where we are in. There are many people who are going through lots of issues, diverse family issues. Every day there is a diverse case that keeps on coming. The diverse rates are increasing. So we'll have to give the value of a family life in the society. Secondly, we need to value our relationships. Many old orphanages, many old age homes are growing up. The reason being that there is no value for neither children nor the parents. So when we say that human is a social being, we have to have interaction, communication with others. We need to value the other person. So in such a situation, we need to value every individual in our life. There are many children who are being abandoned, who are being left out. In South African uh, countries, there are many clients who come up to me and say that my boyfriend impregnated me and left me. I'm surprised to know this is becoming common in African countries, and it is going to transfer to our Asian countries as well. Almost, Philippines, Singapore, there are people living like this. They have a lifestyle which is uh, something which we cannot even imagine. So we, as a counselor, we need to give values to the society. And that's the end of my session. I appreciate all for the patience listening and responses. Thank you.